It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Dhiren Agrawal, BDS, MPA, DMD, FICOI. He earned his first dental degree in India before coming to the U.S. and obtaining a master's in public administration with a healthcare minor from Fairleigh Dickinson University. He then went on to receive his doctorate of dental medicine from Boston University. He is an active member of the Lake County Dental Association, as well as a fellow of the Academy of General Dentistry, the American Dental Association, and the International Congress of Oral Implantologists. He is engaged in ongoing postgraduate education with a focus on implant dentistry, including master's level seminars. He also has a specific training in sleep apnea treatment, which allows him to help his patients achieve a better night's sleep without the use of a CPAP machine. His commitment to lifelong education means he is constantly evaluating emerging dental methods and technologies in order to provide his patients with the best results in the least invasive manner with a high emphasis on comfort. This commitment ensures the highest level of care both today and tomorrow. Dr. Agrawal is also a member of the AGD and has earned over 600 hours of continuing education towards his fellowship. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine, Howard.
So what year did you graduate? How long have you been out?
I graduated 2013 from Boston University. So this is my 6th year out of school.
Well, that's awesome, man. I've been out of school. You know, my office is over 30 years old, and so many of the listeners are, about a quarter of them are still in dental school, and the rest of them are pretty much all millennials. I hardly ever get an email, howard@dentaltown.com, from someone who's a grandpa like me with 6 grandchildren. So now that you're 6 years out, you can relate better to those dental students and those people just coming out of school. What advice would you give to someone who's coming straight out of school? Do you recommend that they go get a job at a DSO? What do you recommend their steps out of school should be?
I would say that they should try to get as much clinical experience as possible within the first 2 or 3 years, because that helps them get into their own private practice down the line, helps a lot. So whether it's a DSO, whether it's a private practice, doesn't really matter. I myself started at Aspen. I worked there for 3 years, and I got a lot of clinical experience in a very short period of time, a lot of surgical experience. I learned their systems. They have great systems in place. They do a lot of marketing, a lot of business insights, how to train the staff. They have a lot of checklists for the front desk, for the office managers, for the dental assistants. So all that is very helpful down the line when you open your own private practice. So that's what I would tell the new grad to do.
You know, it's amazing. I see some of these dental students walk out of school and they'll go work for a big DSO like Aspen, and they'll do their entire dental school requirements every month. I mean, you ask them, what did you have to do to graduate? And they said 50 fillings, 50 extractions, 15 canals of endo, and they're doing it every month now.
Yes.
I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, that is so true. That I actually, in Boston University, we didn't get a lot of clinical experience. So for me in Aspen, I was doing pretty much the clinical requirement in less than a week, which I did in 2 years. So it's so much work out there. Yes,
that is
so much
amazing.
work. You're prepping 4 or 5 crowns a day. You're pulling 20, 30 teeth. You're doing new patient exams of 6, 7 patients. That's a lot of experience you get. Which is better than most AGDs out there.
So you stayed with them for 3 years with Aspen?
Yes.
And who's the CEO? Is that Jim Fontana?
Bob Fontana.
Bob Fontana? Or did you ever talk to him or meet him?
Yes. When I joined them, the second week they flew me to Syracuse, where the headquarters is, and you get to meet all the CEO, the CFO, the COOs. It's a 1 week onboarding. They try to teach you the model, how to what they want to do, what the philosophy of treating the patients is, different kind of dentures they made, different kind of packages and all that. So yeah, you do get to meet all of them.
And how far is Syracuse from Amherst, New York?
I have no idea.
Because Amherst is where Ivoclar was, and this is a long story, but I'll make it short. Last time I was at Ivoclar, anyway, friend and friend went to dinner. We drove over. We went to Syracuse. We're having dinner. And as the guy's leaving, he points across the street. He says, "That's where Bob Fontana lives." And I'm like, "Dude, why, well, let's go over there right now." And he goes, "No, we can't crash his house." But I've been trying to get that guy on the show. Do you think there's any way you can call him or send him an email and tell him to come on the show?
I can try. I know quite a few people who are in there, in the company, who work for the company. So I can try and see if he's willing to talk.
Because what I love about Aspen is they seem to be the only DSO that's really focused. I mean, they tend to go where the competition ain't. They tend to go where there's a large number of Medicaid patients, and all the general dentists are flocking out to rich Scottsdale, and they want to go where all the lifestyles of the rich and famous. And then they find these big voids in the market where there's a lot more dentists per thousand. I mean, a lot more patients per dentist. And do you kind of agree that Aspen is more focused on like a Medicaid population?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just Medicaid population. It's just like you said, private practitioners are mostly focusing on the high-end patients, and Aspen is filling the void by bringing a lot of by going to the patients and telling them that we can fix your mouth. You have bad teeth, and we are not going to judge you. This is a no judgment zone. If you look at their marketing campaigns, they have no judgment zone. Kind of stuff. So a lot of patients who come there, they are afraid to go to private practice because they feel like they are scared. Also, Aspen, what they do is they finance through the third party, through Care Credit, through they keep changing the second company, but the first tier is Care Credit, and a lot of patients come in to get the treatment done because they feel that they can finance $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 dentistry, which they don't have sitting in their bank account, and get the work done on an easy monthly payment. So that's another thing which Aspen does a great thing about, because once you start doing that in a private practice, once you start breaking down those huge treatment plans into easy monthly payments, it's easy for you to do those comprehensive treatment in your private practice as well. So when the private practitioners are complaining about DSOs taking their business, I don't think Aspen's stealing business from them. I think Aspen's just growing business. It's just increasing the market share by selling dentistry, which would not have been sold in the first place. And that's why they're doing well. That's why they don't even make you sign a non-compete. You can open a shop next door to them because they know they are going to do well regardless of who opens next door to them.
Wow, that is amazing. Is Aspen the only one that doesn't make their doctors sign a non-compete?
Yeah, I think so, because most DSOs want you to sign 2, 5, 10 mile radius non-compete, whereas Aspen doesn't really care. You can open right next door to them, you can leave them, and then you can open. They won't sue you, nothing. And they require you to give a 90-day notice. If you don't give a 90-day notice, they don't really care. They'll bring another doctor in there, they'll train them, and they'll start doing dentistry. So
well, the show goes on. I love your attitude determines your altitude. Attitude is everything. I always cannot believe when I hear some dentist complaining because they're an associateship at some DSO. And I'm like, dude, the average dentist can't even manage their own office, and these guys are managing 50, 100. Heartland 900 offices, Pacific Dental 500 offices. You're telling me you can't learn the business of dentistry while you're getting all this clinical experience? Every form they have was probably hammered out over years by several really smart operations and logistic people. So I just can't believe people don't see that as the glass half full.
Yes, I mean, dentistry is a half business, half clinical skills. You need to have both. If you just have clinical skills and you're not figuring out how the business part of it, then you're going to struggle to do really well. But I think when you work for a DSO and you keep your eyes and ears open and see what they're doing, you can take a lot from those DSOs and implement in your private practice and still do really well. You don't have to do everything they do, but they have a lot of things, a lot of systems in place which the private practitioners don't really look at all and are not even aware of it. And that's why DSOs do great. And there's a reason why they have so many offices. They have to be doing a lot of things right.
So Care Credit was their primary finance. What was their second choice?
They changed 2 or 3 financing. I think they were using Green Sky at some point. I'm not sure. There was one more I forgot. It was 2.5 years ago, but they were using Green Sky. And in my practice, I use 3 financing also. I use Lending Club, which is primary. Care Credit, I found the fees they charge to the practice is really high. It comes out to 10% on average, which you're paying to Care Credit. So in my practice, I offer Lending Club, which is the primary. The secondary is Green Sky, which is also really good. And the third one, Care Credit is a lot of patients use Care Credit for their other medical needs. They use for a vet, they use for eye doctor, they use for everywhere. So they already have it. So that's why we accept it, but we don't really offer it as a primary finance because the fees are a little bit higher for a private practitioner when it comes to Care Credit.
Yeah, that company's been, wow. I mean, they were owned by GE. I never thought I would see GE trip and fall down like it has over the last couple of years. They've spun off Care Credit. But you said you think Care Credit's about 10% of total cost. What do you think the total cost is for Lending Club or Green Sky?
Lending Club is about 5.8% on an average. That's what I pay in my practice. We did about $400,000 of financing this year. Wow. And with Lending Club, and we paid about $23,000 in financing fees year to date. So Lending Club's really good. Green Sky is pretty much similar, 6.5% to the practice. But the good thing about Lending Club is they don't have a flat finance charge like Care Credit. Care Credit would charge you 10% regardless of the patient's credit score. So whereas Lending Club, if a patient has a good credit, then you don't really get charged a lot of fees. Sometimes you pay a 3% fee on a patient who has a great credit. So if you're financing $10,000, then your fee is only $300. But whereas with a Care Credit, regardless of the credit score, the fees is 10%.
So do you think when you were at Aspen, they're really big in promoting NASCAR. They advertise a lot of NASCAR. Do you think that really brought in new patients to your office when they're out there doing the NASCAR thing?
I used to ask pretty much all the patients why they came to Aspen. There were 2 primary reasons why the patients came. Number one was we accepted their insurance, because Aspen would accept everything under the sun except Medicaid. They would not accept Medicaid, but they would accept all HMOs, all PPOs, all kind of plans. So that was number one reason why majority of the patients came. Second came for free consultation. It was a free consultation, so if they needed dentures, they would come in for a free consultation. A very small percentage, I would say, they would come because of NASCAR. But when I was there, they were starting out. At that time, when they had that Patrick lady sign up for them as their brand ambassador. Before that, they were just at a very small level. But now I think they've gotten bigger with NASCAR over the past 2 or 3 years. So I think now they get a lot more patients from NASCAR.
So after 3 years at Aspen, then what did you do after you left Aspen? What was your journey until you finally owned your own office?
I worked in an implant practice for a couple years. I did a lot of implants there. The owner had 2 practices. I worked in one practice. He worked in the other practice. And I was looking to get my own practice when I left Aspen. But for me, I'm on a work visa. So it's very difficult to own your own practice when you're on a work visa. And there's no clear path for someone from India to get a green card when they come on work visa. So for me, it was very difficult to be able to own a practice, and because we don't get business loan. If you're on a work visa, you don't get any business loan from the bank. So I was saving up some money so I can buy a cheap practice, because I could not really afford to buy like a high-end.
Are you still on a work visa?
Yes, I'm still on a work visa, but now they have an investment-based category. So you do a certain amount of investment, create some American jobs, then you can apply, and then you can get visa after like 2 or 3 years. The timeline keeps increasing after Trump came in, so he's increased. Instead of 3 months, now you have to wait 2 years to get your visa. So I'll hopefully get it next year. I'm hoping so. I've done what was needed. in terms of investment and creating American jobs and all that.
On behalf of the United States of America, I apologize profusely for your struggle. I mean, one of the single biggest irony I have in economics, and not just me, but you hear it from Milton Friedman and all the great economists, is that if you ask anybody on earth what made the United States the biggest economy in the world, and it was because of open immigration for 500 years. And when humans vote on their feet and they leave their mother country and go to another country, they are a cut above the cloth in ambition, intelligence, risk-taking. You look at all these startups, almost all of them, like 80% more were not born in the United States of America. And if you truly wanted to see the United States ever return to double-digit growth in the 10th percentile, you would open back up Ellis Island. And yet they're taking the exact opposite turn, and they're trying to shut down immigration. And then the journalists don't do their jobs because, you know, they're always whining about some small town and the company, you know, it's a town of 5,000 and the employer that owned 500, they shut down. It's like, well, continue the story. Who started that company? If you go back 100 years ago, some man came all the way from Armenia and opened up that company, and it was the biggest employer in town until, you know, now that guy's dead, and it takes about 3 generations for the kids to ruin everything you created. And it's like, well, right now, that guy that started this factory that you're crying about closing, he couldn't even come from Armenia or India or Vietnam or China. And they don't realize, I mean, they can't, they think in fear and scarcity that if someone comes in this country, they're going to steal a job. And what they don't realize is that a quarter of them, 1 in 4, start their own company. But if you were born in this country, it's about 1 in 18. I mean, it's just so frustrating when you see your country going exactly the wrong way in fear and scarcity and thinking, look, you came over here from India and you've started a business. How many employees do you have?
8 employees right now.
Yeah, you come all the way from India and you created 8 jobs. And what's the chance those 8 employees working for you would ever start a company that had 8 employees?
Almost 0, I would say.
Yeah. It's like, God, I would pull my hair out, but I can't because I don't have any hair to pull out. But if I had as much good-looking hair as you, I'd be ripping it out of my head. But I don't call this politics. When people say, don't talk about politics, even on dentistry, it's not politics, dude. It's economics. It's business. And if you read any of the classics, you read any of the business cycles, you read anybody that's got a Nobel Prize in economics does not believe in limiting immigration. So we'll move on there, but good luck on getting your green card. Thank you for joining the American team, coming all the way from India. That's amazing. So now you have your own press. So again, back to these millennials. When they come out of school and say 5 years out, they're going to own their own practice like yours. What type of dentistry should they start learning? What clinical skills? I mean, they come out of school, there's so many things to learn. There's so many institutes. On your journey, what clinical did you recommend that they learn more about?
Implants, by the hands down, is just the number one thing they should learn. Get as much surgical experience under your belt. That will make learning implants very easy. Implants are so easy to do. It's just most millennials nowadays, the dental schools don't train for you to do extractions. So when they come out of school, they don't have that kind of experience. So they're scared to do implants. They're scared to do, full mouth cases and stuff like that. But implants, hands down, is number one. I would say ortho, Invisalign, you do 6-month smiles. Those are also really good in building up your practice. Because I was actually fortunate that I started working for Aspen, because I learned. They taught us to do comprehensive dentistry on every single patient who came in. So you presented whatever the patient needed, and then you made treatment plans based on that. And that kind of just was mind-blowing how, because when you come out of dental school, you don't really have the confidence to present $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of treatment plan to the patients, because you yourself don't have those skills, and you don't see you feel like you'll be able to see the case through. And then once you develop those skills, the pathologies out there, there are patients who need that work. And once you develop the model and implement financing and those kind of things in your practice, you'll be successful.
But it's so bizarre how so many dentists say they don't want to sell. They're not salesmen. They didn't go to school 8 years to be a salesman. And here Aspen, which has, how many offices does Aspen have, would you guess?
I think there are over 600 right now. I think 650.
650 offices under Bob Fontana. And he's teaching you comprehensive dentistry and to present the whole treatment. Yet you're talking to a bunch of dentists. If you walked in their office, they had 28 teeth and every one of them had a cavity. They would just look for the worst cavity there and say, well, let's just start with this one and do a root canal and a build-up and a crown. How do you get a dentist from going from one-tooth dentistry to comprehensive full-mouth dentistry, which Pete Dawson has been talking about for literally 50 years?
Well, they have to see the value in their own service before. They have to see that it's not, if a patient needs a $5,000 or $10,000 work, it's not your fault as a dentist. It's the patient's mouth, it's their habits, it's their neglect, whatever has brought them there. It's your responsibility as a dentist to present whatever they need, and then if the patient decides to choose it, like you say in the MBA, it's unmet wants and needs. If the patient has the money, they'll meet their unmet wants and needs. It's the same thing you got to do when you're when a patient comes to you. You don't have to worry about the financial aspect of about the patient. For example, I had a patient who came into my practice last week, a Medicaid patient. We don't accept Medicaid, but he came in and he's like, I want to get dentures, I want to get implants done. And I made a treatment plan for him about $25,000, and he had good credit. He applied for it and he got approved, and he accepted the treatment. And he said, like, I just bought a truck couple months ago, which was $60,000. Now Ford doesn't feel bad when someone goes to them and sells them a $60,000 truck, and they don't worry about the person's income. It's what they want. So basically, I feel that dentists should also look at it the same way. It's not bad to sell dentistry. The person's going to spend his money one way or the other. So if they have a healthy mouth, he's be able to enjoy the life a little bit better.
That Americans will buy 13 new cars between the ages of 16 and 65, with the average new car costing $33,000. And then 95% of all dentists in the United States will go their entire career without ever doing one treatment plan that's as large as the median price of a new car, $33,000. And in every county in America where every dentist is complaining, my people don't have any money in my area, you go to any grocery store and there's all these new cars. They're all and those cars are all financed over 60 months. Less than 10% of cars are bought in cash. They're all financed over 60 months, and that dentist can't do that one time. What would you say to that dentist?
I mean, they're not presenting treatment to the patient is also, in terms, it's a neglect. You're neglecting the patient's needs. So you should believe in your skills, and you should believe that what you're providing to the patient is worth it.
Okay, well, the first thing they're going to say is, oh, well, you don't understand. I bet he's practicing in a really rich area. You're actually halfway between Orlando and Gainesville. Is your city lifestyles of the rich and famous?
No. That's a big misconception. Actually, what I've noticed is the patients who have the money, who drive the most expensive cars, they are the most toughest sell. The easiest sell is the patients who make between $30,000 to $90,000 a year, and they will accept the treatment if they can afford the monthly payment. The patients who can pay down cash, those are the tougher cells. They bargain like anything, and I hate treating those patients. So those are not my target patient population. I don't go for them.
And when you do installment credit, how many months is the usual term?
So we offer 6 months interest-free and 12 months interest-free. And if they want interest plans, it can go with Lending Club. You can go up to 72 months.
72?
Yes.
72 months?
Yes. Lending Club is the only financing company which would give 72 months. Care Credit maxes out at 48. Sometimes they'll do a 60-month if it's about 15,000, I think. And but Lending Club would go, if it's about 10,000, you can go to 72 months.
Holy moly. And is that very common in your practice?
Yes. As I said, we did about 400,000 this year, and most of the treatment plans, which are about 10,000, they are done to Lending Club.
So that's 6 years. The average car is going to be 60 months. Lending Club will do 72 months, which is 6 years. I mean, it's just a game changer. When you can do that. I mean, when you can walk in the room, you know, most dentists walk in the room and, you know, the person has 20 cavities, they need 3 root canals and crowns and all this stuff. And they go, well, I'm sorry, but your insurance will only cover 1,000. So we can only fix the most rotten tooth in your mouth today. And then in the same medical dental building next door, somebody walks in there and says, hey, congratulations, you got excellent credit. We can do everything you and the doctor talked about for just $300 a month for 72 months. And the patient's in there thinking, oh my God, $300 and I'd have a movie star smile and all my teeth fixed up? That would just be awesome. And then to think that 95% of the dentists will never do that one time in their entire career.
No, it's just bizarre why they wouldn't do it, because it just makes practicing dentistry so easy, because you're not worried about it when you go in the patient's mouth that now I only have to work on one tooth, and then you make a treatment plan, and then the patient gets lost, and then they come a year later, and then they need more work than what your treatment plan a year ago because of the PPO insurance, and the PPO is still $1,000, and it just doesn't make sense to just spread out the treatment over the period of a year or two. Whatever the patient needs, and if they can finance it, it's just best to get it done at that time. That way they save money long term. That's what I believe. If you leave something hanging in there, it's not gonna, it's just gonna end up costing more money.
And what's so sad is when anybody gets a new car, they always drive it over to your house. They always want to show you. You always have to get up and walk out on the street. And they always jump in there and turn on the radio. And they're all excited and all this stuff. And they'll go through that excitement 13 times in their life. Yet, I mean, I remember one time I cemented a full case on this beautiful young lady. She was probably about, I don't know, 45. And when she looked in the mirror, she had to take a knee. I mean, she just bent over in tears. I mean, she couldn't believe that her mouth was brand new. I mean, she couldn't talk for 5 minutes. And these dentists will never do that because they can't do installment credit. They can't think like a business person.
No, it's just not right to do it. You have to be able to finance. If you want to do full mouth rehabs, you have to be able to, and full mouth rehabs, I just don't mean that you have to do crowns, you have to open bite, you have to open video. If you're doing extracting all the teeth, doing dentures, that's a full mouth rehab. That's still a lot of money. So if you finance, it's just easy. And the other advantage is that builds up your practice very quickly in a short period of time, because if someone spends $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on their mouth, they're going to go tell their friends. And that's going to refer you another patient. So that's how you build up your practice sooner. If you're doing $100 filling all day long, that patient's not going to talk to their friends, hey, I got a filling done for $100 today. If they spend 10 grand, they're going to tell 10 to 20 people, and that's going to build up your practice really fast. So I think that's another practice builder, because if you're not doing that, then you're not getting big cases in your practice on a routine basis.
You know, and another thing, all the dentists want to talk about, like Clear Choice and All on 4 and all this high-end dentistry. Well, they always want to talk about All on 4. Well, All on 0, which is a denture, is 10 times bigger market than the All on 4. And I see on your website, which I love your website, it's called myprimedentistry.com. You talk about custom dentures. I can't tell you how many dentists never ever want to do a denture the rest of your life? What do you do more dentures or all on fours?
If I do 100 dentures, I'll do 2 cases of all on fours out of 100 dentures.
51
yes.
Then.
And I get patients, which I do, some cases I get from Clear Choice. I actually think Clear Choice is a great practice builder because they do marketing for your practice.
Absolutely.
They bring in patients, they are doing 60, 70, they present $60,000 treatment to a patient, and then they come to your practice, and then they want extraction dentures, maybe with 2 implants, and they're happy to get it done for $20,000. That $20,000 case would have never come to your practice if Clear Choice was not selling $60,000 cases. You are not able to capture that market in the first place. So I don't think Clear Choice is a competitor. I've gotten 3 or 4 patients this year from Clear Choice, and they didn't want to spend 60 grand, but they were okay spending $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, and I was able to treat them just doing locator over dentures or just regular dentures, and I think it's a great market. I don't think this Clear Choice eats up the market. I think it's just creating its own market share.
Absolutely. And the reason you think that is because you think in hope, growth, and abundance. You don't live your life in fear and scarcity. I remember when Clear Choice came here, I knew that when I saw their first commercial, which periodontist and oral surgeons were going to think it was the end of the world and the sky was falling, and I knew which ones would love it, and they weren't even open in this town a week, and you already heard patients coming in on recalls saying, "Oh, I saw on TV, blah blah blah," and you could tell that was the first time they'd even thought about this. A rising tide lifts all boats, if you think in hope, growth, and abundance. And it's just the way to live. I mean, thinking in fear and scarcity is just insanity. But I want to go back to that millennial. So then 5 years out of school, you bought a practice, right? And it was about, and how much what were you able to do to the revenue of that office? If you bought that office and it was doing $1, what was it doing the next year, the third year?
So I got the practice last year in August, and because of my work visa, I was not able to work there for about 5 months because I had to transfer my visa to the practice and all that. So I had an associate who was there, who came with the practice, was willing to help me out. He's a young dentist, really good dentist. So I told him my situation when I bought the practice. I said, I need about 4 or 5 months before I figure out all this visa situation. So he said, okay. So he managed the practice for me for 5 months. And then this year in January, I started working there. So this is my 11th month in the practice. The practice was, let's say if it was doing $1, it's doing $3 right now. Right. So I grew it by about 3 times the practice, just by marketing and just getting systems in place, bringing in financing. I bought a cone beam. The practice did not need a lot of work in itself. It was a relatively a new practice. It was just 9 years old. It was only a denture practice. The dentist who sold the practice only did dentures. He would do very little surgical procedures. Even for extractions, he was referring it out. So when I saw that practice, I just knew that this is just the kind of practice I want, because I knew that from day one I'm going to add value to that practice. So bought that practice, bought a cone beam, printed out a list of all the patients who got lower dentures done in the last 5 years, sent them letters. And the first 2 months, we started getting patients who got lower dentures in and started getting 2 implants on the bottom, started getting, so that the first couple months that helped me out. And then we started marketing, started getting a lot of patients to marketing. And now by doing a lot of large cases, the word of mouth has started building the practice. So we get quite a few patients from there. So yeah, that was a pretty straightforward.
So what year were you born?
84.
1984. So in 1980, I was a freshman in college when you were 3 years old. And it was the worst economy I'd ever seen in 1980. You had 21% interest rates. You had double-digit inflation, double-digit unemployment. It was stagflation. It was just horrible. After 4 years of Jimmy Carter, it was just absolutely horrible. And you just talked about you bought this business, and you couldn't even work it for 5 months. And in 1980, we got a new president. His name was Ronald Reagan. And you know what he did? One of the first things he did, not only did he do the tax cut, Not only did he do the deregulation, but he opened up amnesty, and 3 million Americans got amnesty. And what did they do the minute they got amnesty? They went to work and they went open. Instead of having an underground economy, now they could borrow money and finance and pay taxes. And that was the biggest economic, 1980 was that. And then in 87, I graduated May of 87. Then October 87 was Black Monday, where the market fell a quarter. And then that was the longest expansion all the way to the Y2K bubble in March of 2000. Then I went through Lehman Brothers in September of 2008. So I've lived through 80, 87, 2000. So I've lived through 4 crashes. And the 1981 was the worst. And the biggest part of that solution was Ronald Reagan giving amnesty to all the people that were living here underground. And it was 3 million. And if they did that today, it'd probably be 10 million. And instead of our 20-year anemic growth of just about averaging about 2.5% growth a year for the last 2 decades, it would immediately go to 5 or 6. And if you just flat out told the world Ellis Island is open, it'd probably grow at 10% for as long as you left it open. It just, again, I'll quit. I'll get into that. So this kid comes out of school, and I'm telling you what he's thinking. Listen to this. She's commuting to work. She graduated last year, and she's saying, okay, you do dental implants. How the hell do I learn that? You're talking about dentures. I did 2 dentures in dental school. How does she learn, step by step, how does she learn implants and dentures? Where would you start her off at?
I started out right out of school. Even before I started the job at Aspen, I signed up for the implant course because I worked as an assistant before I went to dental school over here. And the dentist I worked for, he did implants. So I knew that I need to do that. So any course, you can do any course which is closer to you, so you don't spend a lot of money traveling and flying and staying in hotels and all that. So that will give you some basic understanding of the implants, and then get some go to a live surgical implant placement program. There are a bunch out there. There is live implant seminars with Dr. Mangalo. There is one of my friends, he did the New York Implant Institute. That's in Dominican. That's really good. My other. No, Arun Garg is also Dominican Republic. He's Santo Domingo, I think.
But which course did you just recommend? What was his name? The doctor?
Dr. Mangalo.
How do you spell
He's Mangalo, and he's
L-O.
Yes, and he is liveimplanttraining.com.
Can you send me that? Liveimplanttraining.com. Live implant. Let's see if I find it. Let's see. And that was who you recommended. Okay, here it is, liveimplanttraining.com. So where's he, this is one you're recommending. Where is he, where is it? It says the best live dental implant course, work on patients.
I think he just moved back to, Dominican Republic, because he had to move his they were somewhere in Nicaragua, and then because of the riots over there, they had to move down to Dominican Republic this year. So that's a good course to take.
Right on. And you did that course?
I did Arun Garg's course in Santo Domingo. I did the both. I did because it was closer to me. At that time I was living in Melbourne, and it was only a 2-hour drive from my place. So I did his course. I did the whole continuum for 2 years.
You're still talking about Dr. Virgil Mongola?
No, I did the Garg's course for 2 years.
Are you saying Arun Garg?
Yes,
okay.
I did Garg's course.
So you did Arun Garg first, and what's his course called?
He's called Implant Seminars.
Implant Seminars. Then you did Virgil Mongola?
Yes, and his course, I find the Mangala's course a little bit better than Garg's course because of this faculty-student ratio, and it's more interpersonal. Garg is a much bigger undertaking. The quality is a hit or miss over there, so I'm not a big fan.
And where's Virgil live? Where's he out of?
I think he's based out of Miami. I think, I'm not sure,
That's
but
where
yes.
Arun's out of too.
Yes.
I wonder why all those big implant guys are all out of Miami, like Arun and Virgil. Is it because of access to foreign countries in the Caribbean for training?
It's possible because it's just a 2-hour flight to Dominican from here, so it makes a lot of sense to have a center over here in Miami, so it makes a lot of sense.
And are both of those guys, are they implant system agnostic, or does Arun Garg and Virgil recommend a certain type of implant system?
So Virgil, he likes the Blue Sky Bio, the BioX. He likes that, and Arun has his own system. The Implant Vision implant system, which is a knockoff of Zimmer. So they both
Zimmer's out of Florida, so are they just private labeling him his own implant?
No. He has different manufacturing. It's not the same thing. But I know the Zimmer's out of West Palm Beach. I
still can't figure out from anybody. I can't pin down. Zimmer listed their dental implant division for sale. And then I read that in Forbes or Wall Street Journal, one of the two, and then I haven't heard anything since. Have you heard anything about that?
I place Zimmer implants in my practice, so I spoke to the rep. He comes to my practice periodically, and I asked him about it. He said they have put it on sale, so they don't really know, but it's going to happen.
So that's the system you use, Zimmer?
I use Zimmer and I use Implant Direct Interactive. I use both of them. I use the tapered screw vent from Zimmer and the interactive implants from Implant Direct.
So what I don't understand about these kids is that so many of them extract molars and wisdom teeth, but don't place implants. What do you think is a harder skill to learn? Removing wisdom teeth or placing implants?
Removing wisdom teeth.
I know.
It's much harder.
I know. It's like, how do you pull molars and wisdom teeth and you don't place implants? I mean, that's like saying I can run a marathon, but I can't run a 5K. I mean, it just makes no sense at all to me.
I think it's just how the specialists have created all the stress around implants failing and all the hoopla. But it's just all the other countries, the general dentists are placing implants. All the European countries, general dentists place most of their implants. In India, general dentists place most of their implants. It's just America. I think that general dentists are scared to do surgery or any implant procedures. It's very easy to learn implants and to be able to do in your practice on a routine basis.
Right.
That will take your practice to the next level in a very short period of time because if you are a PPO practice, there is not much profit out there doing indemnity procedures anymore. Because every time you do a cleaning on a PPO patient, you're losing money, believe it or not. Because you're paying your hygienist $35, $40 per hour, and the dental, it pays $50 for a prophy. So it doesn't make economic sense to be able to have just a restorative and hygiene-based practice and make profit out of it.
Correct. So that was your implant system. What about dentures? What would you say to this young lady if she says, "Look, dude, I've only done 2 dentures in my life"? Where would you recommend that she goes and learns all on none?
Dentures, you can just read a book and start doing dentures. I didn't learn dentures. I didn't take a course for a denture. I just, in India, when I did my dental school in India, we had to make our own dentures. So we had to do the lab work, and we had to do the teeth setting and all that, including the processing. We even had to do the press processing with us, and we were required to do 30 dentures. So that's where I learned my dentures in India, where I did 30 dentures from start to finish, where I did the teeth setup, processing, and everything. And
how many dentures did you do in dental school in Boston?
2.
2. And how many did you do at Aspen?
I was doing about 80 units a month.
Wow. Wow. For 3 years?
Yes.
So 80 times 360?
80
times 36?
36, yes.
80 times 36, that's 2,880. That's 3,000 units. Way to go. That is just amazing. Did you do any online training? Like Dentaltown has 400 hour-long online CE courses. Did you find any of those beneficial?
I took most of my courses based on the podcast, and a lot of stuff I've done in my practice is based on not Dentaltown, but through your podcast, the Dentistry Uncensored. Like I did the Jamieson Spencer online training for my sleep apnea. I did through that, through him. I heard about 6 Month Smiles, so I'm doing that right now because I heard on Dentistry Uncensored. And a lot of things which I've implemented in my practice are through your podcast, because it's such a great source of information. Anything I need to, it's like right now I want to change flooring in my practice, and what I do is I go on downtown and I try flooring, and then there are threads where dentists are discussing about different kind of flooring. So there is so much information out there. So if you want to learn anything nowadays or do anything, it's so easy to do. It's just you have to be wanting to do it and just put some time in it. But I think Dentaltown is by far is just my biggest source of information and very reliable, because fellow dentists are putting out their own experiences out there. So.
Well, thanks. And what I like about it is the message board forum. All the other social medias are like Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. It's all just last in, first out, and there's no archived. And some of those. And what I love about Dentaltown is, like, when you talk about flooring, you can go right to flooring, and there's a long archived thread on flooring, and it's just amazing. I want to change subjects. You talk about ortho. You talk about 6 Month Smiles. Did you do an ortho curriculum, or you did 6 Month Smiles, or are you doing Invisalign?
Yes, I started with Invisalign, so I've done a few cases of Invisalign, and then I felt that I need to do a little bit more of ortho. Invisalign is just not a complete solution, so I looked into other stuff like Power Procs and 6 Month Smiles, and then I just signed up for 6 Month Smiles. I'm going to take the whole curriculum with them and try to implement that in my practice, because I feel that with certain full mouth rehab cases, and my practice is in a retired community where the median age is 67 years old. So a lot of patients have deep bite and have bite issues. So in order to fix that, I wanted to do some ortho. So I am already doing Invisalign, but I wanted to do a little bit more. So my next thing was 6 Month Smiles, to be able to add to that.
And what is your average Invisalign fee? When someone comes and gets Invisalign, what do you think the average fee is for it?
$5,800 for the Invisalign, and then $550 for the retainer. So it's $6,350.
Okay, so $6,350. And how many trays? How long would you say the average Invisalign case is? How many trays? Or do you do 1 tray a month, or do you do 2 trays a month? How many trays would you say?
I do 2 trays a month, but I see patients once in 2 months. I give them 4 trays. And then if they, so it's on average, it's about a 20 tray case. Most patients you can finish between 18 to 20 trays. So you need to see them. The first visit is record taking, and then the second visit is attachments, and then the visits after that are really quick visits. They are 5 to 10 minute visits where you follow up, see if the patient's compliant. You need to go tray back, or you can expedite the treatment. So it's really easy once you have the systems in place, and you can also train your assistants to do the records. So that makes they can take the photographs, the pictures. So once you train them, then you don't really have to do that anymore. So the Invisalign is easy. It's quick to do. I don't do The cheap one, they have different tiers in them. I do the Invisalign Assist, so I don't have to worry about like the case going on. If I need more trays, if I need to retreatment plan, I can do it. The fees is a little bit higher, but it gives me peace of mind because I'm not an ortho specialist, so it's just easier for me.
Well, Invisalign is now opening up independent stores that don't even have dentists and orthodontists. How many Invisalign stores near me? Do they have one in Miami, or they have any in Florida? I think they've opened up 100.
They have one in Orlando, and then I think they opened up one in Tampa. I don't know about Miami. Orlando is just closer to me, so I know about the Orlando market. But they do have one in Orlando. And it's okay. I mean, I think they're targeting the market which would have not gone to the dentist in the first place. And the patients who cannot be treated by Smile Direct, they'll come to you if you are an Invisalign provider. So that I think it's a great thing that they're doing that.
Here's my point. So Invisalign, which is owned by Align Technology, and they own Invisalign. They own, I think, 19% of Smiles Direct Club, which is in the middle of doing an IPO, which is going to be huge. Invisalign stock has been amazing because they know that as people get richer and richer and richer, they want to be prettier and look younger. And when I was little in Kansas, there were 7 kids in my family. All the families had 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. My friend Brian Hesse in high school was one of 21 children. The guy who I thought was his dad for like 2 years of school turned out to be his oldest brother. I mean, but now that you have children rate down to less than 2 per family, every child is going to get ortho. So Invisalign's huge, but here's the math on this. Most dentists are paying hygienists $45 an hour to do about $100 average in production. And then this Invisalign case, you said your average total case is $63.50, including retainers, over 20 trays. That's $317 a visit. And what I've seen, and then here I am in Phoenix, Arizona, where in Scottsdale, Invisalign stores opened up their own store at the Scottsdale Fashion Square. They don't have any orthodontists in there. They don't have a hygienist in there. They don't have anything in there. And the bottom line is, so many of these dentists, like I can give you the name of 5 different dentists in Florida where you live that hired an orthodontist from Central and South America who, again, is on a green card, doesn't have the money and time to go back all the way through. You went through Boston Dental School and then ortho program. And I know one dentist in Miami who has 4 hygienists that he's paying the $45 an hour to do 100. And then I think he has 3 hygienists 3 orthodontists from I think they're all from Venezuela and down there, and his hygienists are $45 an hour, and his board certified orthodontist from Venezuela, he pays him $25 an hour, and that $63.50 divided by 20 trays is $317 an hour. So why does every dentist pay a hygienist $45 an hour to do $100 of perio, and they'll have 2 or 3 hygienists, but they don't go get somebody who was an orthodontic assistant for 10 years or an orthodontist from a foreign country who can't go back through school, and they won't hire. I mean, you could hire that person for $30 an hour, and they'll generate $317 of revenue, and they're flipping orthodontist. And you say, well, I don't know if you should have a orthodontist from Romania doing your ortho. Well, God, Invisalign, what do they have in their store? I mean, what do they have in their store? They don't have, they just have, what do they have? They have girls who come from makeup booths who know how to sell makeup. I mean, when you walk into the Scottsdale Fashion Center, where this is at, the Scottsdale Fashion Center, I mean, those girls are in high heels or dressed to kill, and that 60-year-old frumpy Scottsdale woman walks by, and they're like, oh, my God, you should do this. And next thing you know, she's all smiling, and they're putting rouge on her and all this stuff like that. Next thing you know, she buys several $100s worth of makeup. And now they're saying, no, girl, let's get her to straighten those teeth. Let's get $6,500. Forget $50 of makeup. Let's go with $6,500 of Invisalign. So they're doing that. They're setting the stage. So my question to you specifically is, why does every dentist that has 1, 2, or 3 hygienists not have one operatory that's just full-time Invisalign by a staff member who comes from the orthodontic community, whether they worked in an orthodontist office for 10 years or were an orthodontist in Romania? Why do you think that is not the case?
I think because dentists don't think business. I think it's just a lack of understanding of the business and the cost of running a business per chair. The way I look at dentistry is a half business, half clinical skills. If you have the clinical skills but you don't sell it, then there's no point having the clinical skills. There's no point investing in yourself and putting that many hours in building up the skill. If you like you said, if you do the math, if you're paying a hygienist, I feel that hygiene, you don't make any money. You're doing free cleanings on these patients for $100 per hour, because by the time you pay the overhead and your hygienist, there is no profit left in that. So if they start thinking business and if they start dividing the cost of per chair per hour, then they'll be probably able to do the business a little bit better. They'll start thinking that way. It's just a mindset.
So what do you think is more important? Which is, you said your average person near you is 62?
67, yes. Median age is 67.
That's an old median age. So you live in a retirement community?
Yes, I do.
So you're probably not doing much Invisalign or ortho in there.
But older patients...
Is Grandma and Grandpa getting Invisalign?
So the patients who are between 55 to 65, recently retired, and they've been wanting to get the teeth fixed, they still get Invisalign because they've been wanting to get it done. They never had the time or the money. Now they have it, and they still get it. Sometimes they want straight teeth, and sometimes you have to do ortho correction before you can do a full mouth rehab, before you can do 6 veneers or 10 veneers or 12 veneers. So those are the cases. So you don't get it as many as you would do it on a younger patient, but you still get about 20, 30 cases a year of Invisalign from these patients who've been wanting
30 or 40 cases a year you're doing on grandmas and grandpas. Man, you're an amazing man. So whenever you get a study done at a university by someone with a PhD in marketing, analyzing the dental industry for the last 30 years, it's always divided the American dental industry into two halves. Half is afraid of the cost of the dentistry, and half is afraid of the pain of the dentistry. You have crushed it, and you talked in the beginning with installment credit, but you also do sedation dentistry and laser dentistry. So talk about that other half of the market where they're mostly just afraid of you coming in and giving them a shot and hurting them and all that stuff. So talk about sedation dentistry and lasers and fear.
So I have been doing oral sedation since last 5 years. I do the combination of Valium the night before, and then I give them the triazolam 0.25, and then 0.25 is we give them if they need more. So I do that pretty much on all my major surgeries, and now I've signed up for the IV sedation. So next year I'll be able to do IV sedation in my practice also. And you're right that half of the patients are worried about the cost, which we've mastered with the financing. And IV sedation dentistry, I think it's a great practice builder, because a lot of patients would get a lot of work done if they didn't have to worry about.
Where did you learn the oral sedation?
When I did the GERG course, I did the whole. It was a whole deal when I signed up. So it included the theory, the initial implant knowledge, like the basics of implant. Then I went to Dominican. I did about 25 implants over there when I was there. Then I came back, and then I did the sedation, which was part of the course, through the Donaldson. They have their own training also. It's called sedationseminars.com. Or oral sedation seminars or sedation seminars. It's through they both are pharmacologists who treat this or who teach this. It's a I think Donaldson and the other guy. So two of them. I did through them initially in the first year, and I've been doing it since 5 years, and it works really well.
Okay, it's oralsedationseminars.com.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did training through them, and it was a 2-day weekend course, not 2 or 3 day. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but yeah, it was really good, very informative. So I did that. And I've been doing it, and now I signed up for the IV sedation through ADMA, which I'll be doing in
ADMA.
Yes, adma.org, I think, or it's a dental medical anesthesia training.
You got a website of that?
ADMA. I need to look up. Hold on, I'll take a look. Yeah, give you the exact website in a minute. Yeah, it's admatraining.org.
ADMA
training.org. So I looked up in 3 different places. I think the best one I saw was one in Georgia out of Augusta, but that doesn't meet my timeline because I wanted to get it done in January and want to start offering in February, but they don't have anything available until May. So I didn't want to wait that long. So, and then there was another one, IV sedation consultation.org, I think, and I looked into that. And then all this information I found on Downtown. I go on IV sedation, the sedation forum, and I read about it, and then I go into the websites and I look into that. So it's not that. It's just pretty much very basic research I've done through Downtown and Google, and I called them and I found out the dates, and this was working out with my schedule the best. So I thought that I'm going to do this.
So when are you starting that? This
January this year, 2019.
Is that in Scottsdale?
I'm not even sure. They have 2 programs. I've not even seen where
you're still talking about admtraining.org.
Yes, ADMA. I signed up for it. They're going to send me the schedule. It's 3 weekends, and I think one of them is in Arizona. The theory is in Arizona, I think.
Yeah, so the ADMA stands for Academy of Dental and Medical Anesthesia Training.org. So admatraining.org, and the ADMA stands for Academy Dental Medical Anesthesia, and the gosh darn what do you
it's
call
in Glendale, Arizona. It's where the
one of the reviews is by a big fan of the show who's been on the show, Jared Pope, DDS. He says the course is great. He appreciated the smaller class size. And Jared is one of the best dentists in Arizona. He's up the street in Maricopa. An amazing dentist, an amazing businessman. So that's So then what about laser? Do you think a laser is a big part of pain-free dentistry or not really?
Not really. I don't have a hard tissue laser, but I do the AMD laser a lot of times for gingivectomy and the soft tissue crown lengthening. I use that, and that is relatively pain-free when you use a scalpel. So I do like it. It works really well. So that's a big practice builder as well, but not as big as IV sedation, oral sedation, or IV sedation, or implants. That's by far brings a lot of value to your practice compared to laser.
You said when you do probably 50 all-on-none dentures for every one all-on-4. What do you think the ratio will be when you learn IV sedation? What % of your sedation cases do you think will be IV versus oral sedation?
I would prefer to do all my full mouth cases of extractions, and I still do a lot of implants. I don't do all on 4s, but I do locators. I do 3 implants on the bottom. I do 4 implants on the top, and they're not fixed prostheses. They're still removable because of the older patient population. It's just easier for them to maintain, and I do that a bunch. I personally don't like full arch fixed implants because they come in
and they have a ham sandwich between their implants and the denture, and they're just a mess. It seems like whenever they can snap out the removable and then brush it with their hand, I mean, it just seems like everything is so much better. But so many dentists report that patients don't want it to be able to come out. They want it fixed. They want it permanent. Do you see that? Do you think that dentist is carrying that bias into the treatment plan, or do you think they're just as happy with removable?
Well, most of my patients, 90% of my patients have not complained about not having something removable which snaps in. You know, they are happy taking care of it because for them, while they are in a removable denture, the temporary denture which is not attached to implants, or they've been wearing dentures for a long time, and when they get something which is more functional, that's automatically an upgrade for them. So they don't really complain about it that it's a removable product. There are sometimes some patient would want something which is more fixed, and in those cases we can do fixed hybrid processing, but that's a lot to maintain because that's something, the maintenance is something which cannot be delegated to your hygienist. So as a dentist, you have to find the time to be able to clean that processes every year, every couple of years, based on the home care the patient has. And you can't expect someone who has a dentures most likely had terrible home care hygiene protocol, oral hygiene habits over the lifetime, and then now after putting the fixed hybrid processes, you expect them to have the number one highest hygiene home care, you know, so it's just very difficult to.
I know. I always tell dentists, you know, the people getting dentures and fixed, you know, they're not your vegan yoga instructor. They're smoking, drinking hillbillies from Apache Junction. And do you see less peri-implantitis around implants where the denture snaps out as opposed to fixed?
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's the locators are just a game changer. I've done over 100 dentures with locators, and it's just an amazing product. I just truly believe it's just really it's better than fixed hybrid processors in a lot of ways. So because hybrid processors, you cannot go back. You need to do so much reduction of the bone to be able to fit that 10, 15 millimeter of zirconia in the mouth, that if a case fails, then there is no going back. Whereas locators, you don't have to do that much reduction of the bone. You don't have to cut the patient, half of the patient's jaw to fix that, to put that hybrid in there. So I just feel it's just not necessary to do a hybrid in all the cases.
In order to preserve your health, we need to shave off half of your mandible.
Yes.
What's wrong with that picture? Well, hey, we went 10 minutes over. We're at 70 minutes, but hey, I just want to tell you seriously, I'm so damn proud of you. Thanks for coming from India to Florida. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but all the jokes in the United States, you know, if you retire and you're over 65 in New York and New Jersey, you go to Florida. But if you're west of the Mississippi River, from like Minnesota over, you come to Arizona. So Arizonans, they always say that Arizona is the Florida of the West, and it's so funny. But it's basically, I've been to Florida so many times, and I love Florida, and it really is Arizona. But thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all your amazing success with my homies. You've been an inspiration to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Howard. It was nice talking to you.
All right. Have a rockin' hot day, buddy.
You too. Bye-bye.